Yeah.
What?
Doesn't make sense.
I don't get it. Like, I'm just trying to be rational.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, for all I know is it happened. I don't think it did, but I'm just saying, say whatever the news said was right. Well, wouldn't you want to deter people thinking the way I did and actually bring proof back? Wouldn't that make logical sense? Or then there's going to be somebody saying, well, they couldn't bring them back here too. I'm like, bring a piece of them back. I don't know. Show me a picture. Show me something.
Hello and welcome to the DC Talks podcast. I mean, first of all, you see where we're at. We're no longer at the office. We're actually at the main man himself's house. Mr. DC, how you doing today?
All right. Cheers to that, brother.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for the bourbon too, man.
Yeah, man. I'm having a little scotch.
The whiskey and cigars.
Nothing wrong with that.
So, guys, we decided to switch it up for today's episode. We thought, you know what? We're about to have a good conversation. Why not just get some cigars, get some whiskey going, and hang out in your backyard and have this discussion, man?
Absolutely.
Is it your first time podcasting outside?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, a little bit. Hopefully the noise doesn't kick in too bad. But
Yeah. Ambiance is good, though.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, we were going to hope to do it near, but I guess it was too dark. But yeah, it's all right.
I think it's too dark because, like, if I'm in there, you can't see me.
I'm not touching that.
You're not touching. That was a layup for you, but
I know, brother. It's too easy.
I gave it to you and decided that's the first time you haven't taken one like
I know, but like not on camera, right? Actually, people call me out on it.
Okay, for sure, man. There's a lot of things going on out here. It feels like we're living in a world full of distractions.
Yeah.
If it's not one thing, it's another. If it's not some UFO sighting, it's some submarine stuff. But each and every single day, there's something new we're supposed to be caring about. Have you been seeing this?
Yeah, a lot. I try to turn it off, but I try not to watch the news because it just gets me angry. Because we talked about it before. It's like, what's a distraction they're trying to hide from us? Right? So, yeah, I think everything is a distraction for a reason.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just where my brain goes. It's been trained the last 20 years, maybe that's 15 years, something like that too, just to look for what's underlying behind these distractions and what's actually happening, look a little deeper.
Yeah, man. Have you been feeling as if like they've been turning up the valve on the distractions as of late? Because
all the
you've been saying these things because you've been seeing them for the past 10, 15 years, talking about like your religion and everything. But the past 3-4 years, it's really, really heightened where they're throwing different stuff at us every single day. Some stuff that's supernatural too, that you're like, there's one thing I've been hearing. There's something called the lizard people. Have you heard about this thing?
Yeah, of course.
The lizards?
Dude, that's old news. Yeah.
That's old news?
Well, yeah, how they're wearing different skins and which they do. They look at their eyes and there's all these videos of seeing their eyes, how they can click a different way. There's old footage of the early 2000s of that happening with presidential candidates and presidents. Yeah, so the lizard people have been around for a long time, my friend.
Who are the lizard people?
A lot of them are in they say that they're aliens or some sort of non-human entity that basically they can take on the skin of somebody else and portray them to be members of parliament or politicians.
People in power, pretty much.
People in power, yeah. People in power. It goes back, if you look even to some of the hieroglyphics and stuff, the pictures and the paintings they had lizard people and stuff. So we don't.
The reptilians, as they call them.
Yeah, the reptilian nation. It's supposed to be another form of aliens, but from some of my research, there's no such thing as aliens. They're actually demonic beings.
And the thing is that people like you and I, we intrinsically know these things. And it can be blasphemous to talk about them in public.
Yeah.
But
because we're crazy, remember?
We're crazy, right? We're labeled as crazy. What do you say to those people? And you give them these stories that, listen, there are these things, the reptilians, they're actually the ones controlling the government. But then they turn back and call you, you're conspiracy.
Well, that's why I don't say it anymore.
But how do you deal with that, though? Like, especially when you know, the true essence of things, but then you can't even be comfortable to speak about it.
In due time, Owen, people get exposed to certain things, but there's only so much your brain can handle. So by jamming it down somebody's throat, whether it's religion, whether it's the conspiracy theories, whether it's no matter what it is along the scale, you can't jam it down through everybody. You have to have somebody come into it, honestly, that's, you can show them certain things and listen, do your own research. I know we've all said that the last couple of years, but it's true, right? This is kind of what I found. What are you finding on it? What do you think? And let them go down their own rabbit hole. Nobody told me about this stuff when I was first. Nobody told me there was reptilian races. Nobody told me. Then I started researching. Then you find one thing. I'm like, okay, well, this, and you kind of like, and again, it's, I kind of turn a blind eye to it now because it's just kind of like, yeah, they're there, whatever. It's like, can we prove it? No, because even if you have video footage of them, people will deny it, said, oh, it's doctored, all that kind of stuff too. And again, you don't want to be labeled as crazy, and it's just, and saying things, but it's like, so I'm open to it, right? I know what they're supposedly are. Have I seen them in person? No.
No, you haven't.
Could some of those video things been doctored? Maybe. Could it be absolutely 100% true? Maybe. But listen, I've told people before when I had visited by demonic beings and spiritually attacked physically, and my wife experiencing with me, and I still have people say to me, "Yeah, but that's only maybe it was all in your mind. It was a dream." I'm like, when you physically have somebody else there with you, when they still say no, it's just so you can't convince anybody of something. You just can't. You have to have. You can show them fact stuff too, but they have to come through it
to themselves
on their own terms.
That's interesting. You bring up the paranormal activity you experienced back in the day. Recently, there was a woman on a plane where she stands up. She wants to get out because she saw someone that was not real, and
shapeshifter or
shapeshifter or whatever, right?
Skinwalker, same thing.
And till this day, people think that she was drunk, she was high, but
she's never been found. Ever.
She hasn't been found. I saw that on Twitter. Like, people are like, we can dox someone within 48 hours, but this person was not to be found at all.
At all.
And I'm like, what's going on here? I feel like the truth is slowly starting to come out. And
well, this is kind of like you see in those movies where somebody just like, the government can abduct you and then they're like, just make no trace of you, nowhere to be found. And it's like, is it the government? Is it something else? We don't know. I listen, like we're having these conversations because we're like, to talk about this stuff, because none of us have the answers. Like, I can tell you all the research I've shown or all the things I've seen before, but I don't know the answers. I'm asking for the answers. We're trying to find out what those answers are. But when somebody comes out and she was that, so if people haven't watched it, there was a lady on a plane who was freaking out, and freaking out, and tons of people were watching, having videos of it, and they didn't know what's going on. And she was basically saying, that's not who he is. I can't sit back there. And usually when that happens, like, they will come and detain her or put her in in a jail. And it's been a week or something since that's happened, and nobody has found this woman.
Yeah, for how long the video has gone viral for, people keep sharing that clip over and over again. It's gone to a point like where people are saying that she's actually wearing a mask because people zoomed in on the video and they saw like some lineage on her neck, which could be maybe she was not.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah.
Well, think about it that way. So think of it the opposite way. Say the person wasn't a shapeshifter. Maybe she is pushing the agenda, saying to put in people's, planting a seed, putting in people's minds that there are such thing as a shapeshifter. And now that she's gone missing, for all we know, she could have been part of the government, part of all of it, to push the agenda forward, to shift your mindset into thinking, well, if shapeshifters imagine, like, so is there other entities could come in? Is there, let's be honest, like, is there such thing as a UFO coming? And like, are the UFOs coming in? Are they really UFOs? Or are they demonic beings coming in to take over? Is it fulfilling the prophecy in Book of Revelation? Like, there's so many what ifs. And I actually like this discussion because none of us know these answers. But what I do like is that we ask questions about it.
Questions.
Yeah,
man. I've been seeing a lot of theories of who this woman is, what could be possibly going on. And there's something called predictive programming.
Okay.
You've heard about this concept before, yeah?
Oh, it happens all the time. They'll play a movie what they want to portray to happen, and then they'll play it out in real life. Predictive programming. Yeah. And then we are accustomed to it.
We're accustomed. And like,
that happened in this movie. So it's like, now it's playing out in real life. We already know what's going to happen. Then we're okay with it.
That's what even happened with that movie Contagion on Netflix. You've seen that, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't watch it because I remember Contagion came out. And then the pandemic was hit. So people were actually watching Contagion
as it's happening.
Yes, as it was happening. And Natalie and I, she's like, I am not watching this movie. Not a chance. And I was like, okay.
Bro, that thing was a freakiest thing because everything that happened in that movie, and that movie came out in 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
Right? So you can imagine all those things that were planned. Because the thing about what happened with the virus and like every systematic thing that they had planned out, they showcased that in the movie. like the food shortages, the vaccine and everything like that. And I'm like, how do we not see these things actually scripted way before and they're actually just rolling out the plans? You know what I'm saying? And I try to
Well,
tell these.
because you show this to people and they don't want to believe it. It's like, let's be doctor. And I have like family members, we say this too. It's like, in 2003, they explained how the pandemic was going to hit.
Mhm.
And they explain, they've shown that too. And they're like, if this, quote unquote, if this ever happens, and then we look what happens in 2020, and ever since then, they fulfilled, like, and they went with, like, there's document, there's that I forget the name of the report. I think it was 2003, where they actually went through the whole report. It was a whole report on it too. And it's like, do people not see that they're just fulfilling what they were told was going to
Yeah.
happen? It's a plan.
It's been planned for years and years and years.
But
And
again, if people have subscribed to that, right? And I do. Listen, I love my conspiracy theories. I
same
do.
here. Same
So
here.
I'm going to say it out there. I believe this stuff, and I don't care. And it's like people are trying to say, I'm like, well, it's kind of fun too. Sometimes I think I'm never conventional. There's a bug in front of my face here. I've never been conventional. So it's like, why would I not want to believe in this stuff? Like it's.
You know what the biggest thing for me was because I watched the Truman Show.
Oh yeah,
way back
with Jim Carrey.
And before I was just kind of like, it's the Truman Show. Like this is actually a great concept of a movie. Then when I actually got awakened to where we live, the realm, and the space that we occupy, and I went back and watched the Truman Show, I was like, yo, they're actually telling us how we're living in real life. Like even in the movie, they actually have like the dome over like a fake flat space, right? And this is what I'm talking about. The predictive programming is every single thing I look at now, DC, I'm seeing the truth in plain sight, and that's the best way they actually hide the truth is they put it right in front of you,
Of course.
and you're just sleeping. You're not even awake to it.
Yeah.
So, how do people wake up?
It's a valid question. First thing is like, I would say if people have to be open to it, if you can't just tell somebody wake up. And I was watching a thing with Dr. Roseanne Barr today, and she was talking about her in the Ukraine and all these Nazis in the Ukraine when her family was killed by them and all this kind of stuff too. Again, people are trying to cancel me because I said her name, whatever. I'm like, whatever.
It's insane.
But it was funny. But she's just like, wake up, people, wake up. And I'm like, do you think that's going to wake up people? It's like, no, I think people have to approach these kind of situations with an open mind. I was the same way. Like, listen, when people like, I had a cousin I talked to before, we talked about conspiracy theories, and it was just, there's so much into it. I was just like, this can't be real. This is science fiction. You're full of shit, right? But I said, listen, I'll take an open mind. I started reading some stuff, and I'm like, and I started thinking a little more, but it wasn't thrown at me all at once. Because if you throw it to somebody or you just yell at somebody, wake the
they
fuck
get scared.
Up. They get scared. They're like,
well, who are you?
Who are you?
Exactly. What are you to tell me how to live my life?
Well, it's like, like, what do you mean? Like the whole world is, the other thing is like people like I think they get comfort in numbers. So when the world tells you it's something, even if it could be a lie, but if the world believes it, they don't want to stand out. Right. So it becomes very confining, like you become isolated in a sense, not confining, isolated. So you can become isolated from family members, from your friends, you too, if you start believing, you go too deep into it. I know this personally, right? So it's just kind of like, it's a balance, right? But what I would suggest for people to do, and which is what I do, is I read both sides. We already know one side of the theory.
You're diplomatic with it.
Of course, yeah. Right? Just because you send me a conspiracy theory doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to believe it 100%. I don't know if you watch the Beatles, what the Beatles are.
Yeah, of course.
You've heard the conspiracy theory about how Paul was actually killed. There's a whole...
No, what happened?
There was supposed to be a car crash years and years ago with Paul McCartney, and it was like, and they haven't toured since the crash, and he actually died in the car crash. And there's all of these, they had a contest of which a lookalike, and then they got plastic surgery for this guy to replace him who looked like Paul McCartney, and he sang like him. But he's taller than the facial structure is a little bit different. And then there's clues on the albums like Sgt. Pepper's, how, like how where everyone's pointing and it says, we miss you, Paul, and like in a movie, in Sgt. Pepper's, in the background, if you backsmack, if you play the music backwards, and then you can hear John saying, we miss you, we miss you, we miss you. And Abbey Road, he's the only one wearing like, Paul McCartney's the only one wearing like no shoes, and he's dressed like as if he's like a pauper or like a dead body, and he's walking the wrong way. So there's anyways, it's a conspiracy theory basically that he was killed, and then the person that who's Paul we know as Paul McCartney was never the real Paul. It's not the real Paul McCartney.
Man, I've been actually seeing that too. So there's even stories about Kevin Hart being dead already.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And they cloned him apparently.
Yes.
So there's 3 versions of Kevin Hart. So there's like,
and aren't they different heights too?
They're different heights. Even the same thing with Kanye West, right?
Yes.
Like there's like a picture of Kanye going around, which is like, hey, Kanye's out here. But you look at him and you're like, bruh, this isn't this isn't Kanye, man.
Yeah.
They've cloned this guy. So
well, there's that one artist who had all the tattoos. It talks about how he gave his clone number. The guy, I forget his name. Anyway, yeah, there's the
thing is, for a long he's time. Even said it too in the news. I think he was on Ellen DeGeneres or something like that. He's just like, guys, there's 3 clones of me out and about right now.
Yeah.
Right. Even Will Smith too. There was like a video of him, and there's like 3 versions of him behind
Isn't
him.
he the same person as the guy that plays Medina?
Yeah.
Will Smith and him are the same person.
Yeah,
that's another conspiracy theory.
Yo, you see, I can go so deep in with this. Like the thing is, I've been
Taylor Swift is one of the clones. Is one of the clones of the Church of Satan's daughter. I forget her name. Anton LaVey's daughter.
Man, even Jamie Foxx. You know how Jamie Foxx has been in the hospital, and apparently he's out already. But yeah,
is he supposed to be brain dead?
He's supposed to be dead, but they've been showing him. They took 2 videos of him this week. There's one of him with like being bald with like just like a nice, like, you know, light fade of a lineup. Yeah. And there's one with him with actual hair. And people are like, yo, wasn't Jamie Foxx, didn't he have a haircut yesterday? There's a video of him just out and about. And then they show a picture of him taken recently, which is completely different. So, man, Hollywood is like extremely weird. It's extremely crazy, bro. I actually don't know what to believe anymore.
Do you know why they call Hollywood?
Why?
You haven't heard the story?
No.
So, you know, in witches' spells and all that, you need a wand.
Yeah.
And the wands are made out of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood, like
Hollywood, yeah,
Holly, the wood,
yes,
and hence like the wood that there's like that's why it's called Hollywood, because they're casting every time we do a movie, they're casting a spell on you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, again, I didn't come up with this shit.
You didn't come up with this shit.
I'm just
you're just delivering the knowledge.
Yeah, I'm just regurgitating what I've heard. Yeah, there's so many things out there like to distract us from what's going on, but it's like, but how do you decipher what's true or not? Mm-hmm. Right? It's like we will never know, and that's the thing at the end of the day.
Does that bother you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so much things going on. Like there's so many things getting buried too about like if you look at Epstein and like how apparently they paid off all the victims' families and stuff too, as long as they can never. I think JP Morgan said as long as you can never bring a court case against them ever again. They quietly hid that while they're distracting us with all this other movie stuff that was happening. You know, that doesn't come out, right? We know that I know Pfizer was one who was just indicted in a case in which they had to pay out millions and millions of billions of dollars too because of some of the victims that from the vaccine or for underage children under 12, and we didn't hear about that too, but it's in the news and stuff too. And it's like, again, it's like you can find some stuff too, but we're just getting distracted left and right. So will it piss you off? Yeah, because I kind of said like, well, what about this case? And like people say, well, where's it in the media? And I'm like, I'll show it to the media. Oh, that's only one news outlet. I'm like, well, they put out there to show that they had it, but they just didn't make a big deal out of it. So it's a little frustrating because we're not talking about stuff we're fabricating. We're talking about like real court cases. We're talking about, we're talking about things that are like, again, that are out there, but it's also hard to prove now because they also take them down fairly quickly.
Yeah. And I think the thing about the two of us is we're more truth seekers than anything. Yeah. We're like, we just want to search for the actual, give us the honest truth. And I feel like when you actually have your third eye open, is you can see the bullshit, but the information that's been given to you is being presented as true. But internally, your soul knows that what you're showing me is completely false.
Yeah, you got to be careful, even if it's something that's in your heart and what you believe, but you have some sort of documentation, somebody saying like, but if that's the only, but if you know it's bullshit, it's like I'm not going to try to present. And Natalie's been good at like that barrier because I'll send some stuff to her. We'll bounce ideas off her, and she's like the opposite of me, right? Because she'll mostly go with what the media says most of the time. Like she'll we question stuff too, but there's other things we'll talk about it just like she doesn't get. Like I know on your list, I looked at it quickly, some of the questions you had, and one of them was the Titanic thing, and I was just saying to her, this is not sitting well with me. And she's like, what do you mean? You don't think billionaires pay for? I'm like, no, I don't believe billionaires pay $250,000 to go look at a submarine down there and just
through like a window like that's tiny.
And with a bathroom which is from here to here, which they could probably pay for
with a PlayStation
themselves.
PlayStation controller controlling the whole thing down.
Like, well, other people gone down there before. I'm like, I understand other people gone down before, but also I'm surprised nobody had talked about this. And I finally saw somebody said, like, isn't it interesting that a billionaire, like, which apparently we're getting sued or there's something going on.
Yeah.
I don't know which side. Either they wind up dead or they fake their deaths. Something is going on over there. I don't think it was just a bunch of billionaires decided to go together and go down into the ocean. I'm sorry. And then all of a sudden that's the one that explodes.
Yeah.
Implodes. I don't know. And Natalie's like, what conspiracy theory are you looking at? Like, who said this shit? I'm like, nobody has said this. I'm like, I'm reading these reports and something is not sitting well. I don't know what the truth is. And I don't know. But all I'm saying is I'm asking the questions. And I'm like, well, does it not seem odd to you? And
doesn't it bother you that like this doesn't sit well with you?
It bothers me, but I don't know.
And DC, that's the most frustrating part. That is the most frustrating part. I don't know what to do
about it.
Exactly.
Because there'll never be an answer to that.
Yeah.
You know? Well, even like remember the Sherman killings that happened here in Toronto, right? And there's all these stuff, like there's all these conspiracy theories and stuff behind them too, but we'll never know the truth.
Yeah.
You know, they even have the Crave documentary on them too. And it's like, oh, it wasn't, they made it stage look like a break-in. We knew it wasn't a break-in. Some people said it was like because they had a generic patent for some of the drugs coming out and which they were going to put all of these, you know, big drug companies under if they went out with all these generic, and one of them was ivermectin, for example. And they were just like, no one gets the news, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I'm sure if somebody came out with the truth, we still wouldn't believe it was the truth.
You put out the truth and people are like, no, like that's too far from it. So,
well, I'll give you an example, which is to me is considered a truth. Not to me, sorry. In the media, is considered a truth. Let's go back. I'm putting it on camera here. I believe 9/11 was an inside job. So come at me, do what you want. 9/11 was an inside job. I don't know if you guys agree with me. Like, you do the research. I watched the movies. I watched all that stuff. It's just something that there's a lot of things that just doesn't make sense. Okay. Say I believe the narrative that Osama bin Laden, which I don't, but say I believe the narrative that he went out and got a whole bunch of people to hijack and blow up the Twin Towers. Now all of a sudden you can't find him in caves, which one of the Rockefellers told one of his friends on camera and stuff too, that years ago, like he starts laughing because there's going to be an event and which just like he goes, and they're going to be looking in caves. They're not going to find him. They're going to make us war. And he starts laughing. So the guy's like, why are you laughing? I think he was the director of Switching Places. I forgot his name. He's an Italian guy. Russo, I believe his last name was. And he's like, what are you worried about? He goes, just take care of your family. He goes, don't believe it. Even the Rockefeller was saying on the, he goes, don't believe what's in the media. Okay. Say I believe it. Say I believe Osama bin Laden. You can't find him in a cave. We can find shit. You can find a needle in a haystack with all the drones and shit that are in here too. Now you're trying to say you can't find Osama bin Laden. After what, 11 years, wherever it is, you find him. You send a black ops group in. You find him. You kill him at sea. So, number one.
Isn't Obama the one that apparently was the one who led that whole thing?
Yeah. Which Obama's a different story. Don't even start with me. But so you get public enemy number one across the world. Public enemy number one. You find him. Then you kill him and throw him at sea so there's no body. And then all the black ops group, the two, like all of them die mysteriously in a plane crash that can verify that they killed this guy. Sorry.
You're not buying it.
No, well, first off, if I caught Osama bin Laden, I would have dragged him back to the U.S. I would have had some sort of crime, but I wouldn't have just killed him at sea or something too. Like, or even if you had the corpse, bring it back, show
it, put it on camera.
Put it on camera. Yeah. Why is there no pictures of that? Why do we just have to go with hearsay?
As long as it's on the news, it's believable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So when that came out, this is just kind of the stuff that goes through my mind. When that came out, I'm like, what? Like, we even saw Saddam Hussein die, got hung. Like, we saw that.
Yeah.
There's so many things I'm like, and this guy was supposed to be worse than that, and you have no proof whatsoever other than the hearsay. And the people that can verify is that all of a sudden they also miraculously wind up dead.
Yeah.
What?
Doesn't make sense.
I don't get it. Like, I'm just trying to be rational.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, for all I know is it happened. I don't think it did, but I'm just saying, say whatever the news said was right. Well, wouldn't you want to deter people thinking the way I did and actually bring proof back?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that make logical sense? Or then there's gonna be somebody saying, well, they couldn't bring them back here too. I'm like, bring a piece of them back. I don't know. Show me a picture. Show me something
Mm-hmm.
that I can just say, not just go on your own merit, say, yeah, we killed this guy.
Yeah. So a couple things could be happening here. It's either like there's a lot more people like you who see the BS, but they just dwell within that whole thing of like, well, what am I going to do about it? And just continue their lives. And then there's some courageous people who would actually like say it out loud. They'd be like, you know what? This is a bunch of BS, but that's such a small minority that have the confidence to actually come and say, this is X, Y, and Z.
Mm.
But then the people who hear that from them, they're like, yo, you're just talking. They already caught him, believe what they say. So you have like this state where everybody feels apathetic because it continues happening and happening and happening, but there's nothing they can do about it. So we end up like having these kind of conversations where it's just like you, me, you and your friends, we talk about it, we go to bed, and it's the same repetitive cycle over and over again. You know, so we don't even know what we're gonna do about it. But which industries do you think profit from all this, all these distractions they put in front of us?
All the banks, I think too, like the financial industries, all of the big names are like the Illuminati too. Obviously, like whether you believe in them or not, but it's just like they're all the ones are profiting from it too. I still think there's a huge agenda out there, and the elites, the billionaires have talked about it, have reduced the population to what they can. So if you're not making the big dollars, I think you have a target on your back. If you're not in that billionaire status, you're not the top one, but you're screwed.
So it's either make it or die.
So they won't let you make it.
They won't let you make it?
No, they're not gonna. We don't have the right bloodline to get there.
So pretty much, what's our purpose here, DC?
Our purpose, I believe, is still to spread the truth about God.
Yeah.
Bring it back to the truth about Jesus Christ. I 100% heartily believe that. Try to touch as many people as you can to open up their eyes and just be open to it. I think that's all we can do, really.
Yeah.
Like it's what I talked before about, even when I was left, in the Catholic Church, and it's not my goal to convince anybody to change. All we need to do is open up people to the truth and allow them, because you can't force anybody to believe your truth.
Yeah.
Even if the truth is correct. So yeah, I just like, I don't think about it anymore. I can't change the world. I can't change the army. I personally can't go up against the government. And I've heard the story like, well, if we all get together and we can rise up, there's strength in numbers. We don't have those numbers.
We're all divided.
Yeah.
We can't all come together. There's one thing as we head towards wrapping up. Have you ever had this thought where in our pineal gland, right, it's been very calcified over the years from the food, the stuff we drink. I know you drink only purified water. Like you don't drink tap water, you don't drink any of that.
Drink once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? So have you ever thought about that version of yourself that exists if that pineal gland was uncalcified over, because that's the true, like that's the best version of yourself, like that true energetic frequency, high vibrational being that got taken away from you from birth because of the food you eat, the stuff that's in your body, and it just like puts you in a lower chakra of vibration. Have you ever thought about that?
No, not really. Well, kind of, a little bit.
The spiritual version of yourself, the true highest spiritual version of yourself that is like that you can actually think, like they actually say that we can actually communicate telepathically, right? That's our true version. That's the best version, strongest vibrational being, because we're all vibrational, because, the earth is electromagnetic, right? So the more that we are dumbed down by taking a lot of fluoride in our bodies, it takes away the pineal gland's abilities to be able to really connect with other people. So that's when you come across someone, you say, yo, the vibe is off.
Yeah.
And you're like, yo, what are you talking about? But that's because that the middle chakra of yourself can feel that. So we have all these different chakras, from like the root, the sacred, and everything like that. And I can go deeper into this, but
I know
we'll do a part 2. But your DC, this has been a very enlightening conversation.
It's interesting. We're a little bit different from real estate, I guess.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like these conversations are good. It's like to talk with people, and again, we're not trying to sway anybody.
You're not trying.
I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, me too.
And I know I'm not going to get the answers. I'm just like, I like asking questions.
You're not the answer, Sway.
Like like again, what I said to my wife too, we were on the other day about it, just something doesn't sit right with me. And then like, I just don't get how people consider when it doesn't sit right with them, how you're not searching for stuff.
Yeah.
Or they just don't think about it. Or,
How do you not want to know?
yeah. And don't you find that it's a little bit of distraction that anytime something big comes out, like they just kind of like, oh, there's a new movie star or something else too, and they just hide you with other shit. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, what do we know?
What do we know? We're
Oh,
just
I'm
two guys. We're just two guys on the mic.
Just guys on the mic.
Two guys on a podcast in your
Going
backyard
to cigar, having
in
a shot.
Toronto. Man, DC, proper chats as always, man. Really enjoy this, man. Thank you again for having us in your home. It's been a treat. The drinks, the smokes, the hospitality, man, doesn't go unnoticed, man. Truly appreciate it from the bottom of our heart.
Love you guys. You know,
I was on the mic. I can speak for the guys in the back, Isaac and Alex. I know they echo the same sentiments. So thanks once again. And everyone, please don't forget to like, subscribe to this podcast on YouTube. And if you have any comments or any remarks about this episode, make sure you DM or comment on one of the clips that we put out on social. And we'll see you next week. Peace out, everyone.
Oh, before you do that, and again, if you don't know how to find some of the stuff too, you can always check out my Instagram, and then also the links are there. Right,
Man,
so
I'm sweating buckets.
Yeah, you are.